are watching Super TV, Open View, channel 150.
Welcome to Mosports. Now today, we celebrate with Pitso Mosimane and we cry with the Kaizer Chiefs. Welcome to Mosports. My name is Mo and I'm joined by the ever illustrious sports analyst, Mr. Obi knows himself. Obi, how are you doing?
Thanks yourself, Mo.
Are we celebrating with Pitso and crying with Kaizer Chiefs today?
I'm celebrating with pizza.
You're not crying?
Nah, not at all. No time.
Oh, guys, yesterday was one hell of a game. I mean, a lot of people watching the CAF Champions League for the very first time that have not had access to it for a very long time, having to go stream it, and yesterday they expected Kaizer Chiefs to come back with a star. And a lot of people are saying the only star that Kaizer Chiefs came back with is a lucky star. But hey, what can we say? They played in the final. They made it there. They had a team that could at least hold their own against AHLY for a good 45 minutes before that red card and those events transpired. So Obi knows, what should the people expect on today's show?
Well, on today's show, we'll be looking at the CAF final itself, trying to analyze what happened exactly in that game. We'll also be taking a look at some of the pre-season fixtures and results from this weekend. We'll also be talking a little bit about the PSL and which teams to be looking out for. But we kick it off first, of course, with the CAF.
I want to start it off on a sour note because yesterday, Obi knows, we had a budget of 150 rand. 150 rand.
This might not be us, boy.
And I remember, what we said was, put 50 bucks on Kaizer Chiefs. And you're like, no, let's put 100 bucks on Kaizer Chiefs in case they pull off a miracle, and 50 bucks on AHLY in case things go according to the plan.
Yeah.
And things didn't go according to plan at all. I mean, we're sitting here right now.
We made at least something, dog.
Yeah, but
from 150 to 270, that's a lot.
That is a lot. That is a lot. I wonder what happened there. But let's start talking about this game first and foremost. Pitso Mosimane making history. AHLY making history. 10 Champions League trophies. Now they got their decima right, but they have a different name for it. So Obi knows, should we start with Pitso Mosimane?
Yeah, I think with Pitso Mosimane, what's the name? What do they call it now?
I don't know what they call that decima of theirs. They call it El Venero.
It is Le Decima. They still call it Le Decima.
No, they said El Decima, but there's another name for it that they call it Egypt.
I don't know. I don't know it. But nonetheless, it's a big one for both AHLY and Pitso Mosimane. I think right now the critics have been shut because, remember Pitso Mosimane, when he went to AHLY, he only had a semi-final to play and a final, when it comes to CAF competition. And this time around, a full season, making it from the group stages, from the qualifying to the group stages and eventually to the finals and winning it. I do think that he has shut up a lot of critics, and we're just obviously going to wait. No, he has. I mean, there's so many coaches, Mo, for 9 years, coaches that have come and gone at AHLY. We've given them league titles, the Egyptian Cup, but not this one, which they've been wanting the most.
And they got it twice.
They got it twice with Pitso Mosimane, so I think the critics have been shut.
The critics will never be shut. You know what I want to say? If they played Whitehead in that final.
No. There's no. This is the same team that beat Whitehead, so there's no. I think yes, I do think that the critics have been shut with this win.
All right, so how many trophies does this man have? Because it looks like he's won everything in African football.
He has. I mean, there's no tournament that he has played in and not picked up. Maybe we can look at the MTN 8, which is the only trophy he's participated and not won. But these are the trophies. This is his trophy cabinet at this point. Of course, the 2 CAF championships that he has won, the CAF Champions League, 3 of them, the CAF Super Cup, 2 of them has won, both with Sundowns and AHLY. And then you see the Egyptian Premier League, he's won that one, the Egypt Cup as well in the bag as well. You're looking at the South African trophies as one is the PSL, winning it 5 times, Nedbank Cup twice, and the Telkom Knockout 2 times as well, which is a total amount of 16 trophies that Pitso Mosimane has picked up in his career. And for me, this guy's an overachiever.
No. I just feel like, I'm not going to disagree with Obi knows. You're saying fact that he is an overachiever, but I feel like, have you ever heard of it? Mokeleza, like, Shai top 10, number 1 every year.
Yeah.
There's a point where we're like, you know what I mean? You have to go to, like, even in like, when you play with PSK cars, there's a point where you have to go play provincial colors.
Sure.
The only thing that Pitso needs to do now, guys, Pitso needs to go to Europe. There's no more. There's no more chance about anything else.
Now should my hashtag Pitso to Spurs be valid?
It's more than valid now. I mean, at this point in time, Pitso is now doing a victory lap of the things he's already won. I mean, he made it to this final. He's winning it. He's gonna, if he catches Zamalek and wins the league again and pulls off 2 trebles in 3 trebles in 3 seasons, with 3 different clubs. What do you say?
It would be huge. It would be really huge. I think
Disgusting.
the one that he wants the most right now would be the FIFA Club World Cup, and he was a step ahead from the last time he went with Sundowns. This time around, the last time getting a medal in there. So I think the next time he goes to the FIFA Club World Cup, he'll be looking to get into the finals. And should he get there, I'm pretty sure he will go buy everything to make sure that he picks up that trophy.
But if he picks it up,
Yeah.
Mela, we can't have him again playing the CAF Champions League, and he must just go play. Even if he goes to a Schalke or he goes to a Leeds or he goes to. But the fact of the matter is that this guy has won it all in South Africa. Went to Egypt in 2 seasons. In fact, this is 1.5 seasons. Yeah. He's won it all. Dude.
I think let's give him another 2 seasons in African football. I think let's give him another 2 seasons. I mean.
Why?
So that he can dominate and be known as the man who dominated African football.
But we all know him as the man. He's only one Champions League title away from matching the coach with the most Champions League titles in Africa.
Yeah, so why not?
One Champions League title?
He must get it and get another one.
No, but if he pulls as Zidane, Buffett, let's be honest. If he pulls as Zidane at Al-Ahly,
exactly my
which
point.
is exactly what he's pulling at this point
He's
in time.
still quite young as well. He's what, 57?
You want him to go to England when he's Roy Hodgson's age?
No, around, come on, coaches are, how old is Pep Guardiola? Pep Guardiola is probably 40-something, if I'm not mistaken, you know what I'm saying?
You know what, before we get carried away with OB.KNOWS and Pitso Musiba, let's talk about Pitso's technical team. Now, obviously, you can't do it without a winning team. And the guys behind him, OB.KNOWS, let's talk us through who's there and how they've been influential in this Al-Ahly side.
Well, if you do remember, there was a point where, Calvin Johnson had to step in and become the head coach for an interim period because of Pitso contracting the COVID virus earlier on that season. Was it earlier on, towards the end of last season? It was this season, the beginning of this season, yes. And the way, they continued, like Pitso was still there, and Pitso was not there. He was at home, quarantining. But Calvin Johnson, the trusted individual that Pitso Mosimane handpicked from a lot of coaches which you could have picked in South Africa to come and become his assistant coach. It was Calvin Johnson. And Calvin Johnson, of course, his assistant coach, has been a pillar of strength for Pitso Mosimane. Also very tactically aware. We know what he's capable of. We've seen him at Platinum Stars handling his own team. And we know what he possesses as a coach. So I do think that, at Al-Ahly, he has become a big part of Pitso Musimane's technical team, of course. And he's a trustworthy individual. And as you can see, the picture right behind us is standing there with a couple of other individuals in there. Kabelo Ranghoga, he's someone he picked out from Mamelodi Sundowns, along with him coming. He was in charge of the Sundowns at fitness, So coming to Al-Ahly, of course, we're looking at the intensity that the teams plays at, and we know that he's very dependent on these individuals in this team. So I have to give a shout out to these people in this technical team of his.
As well.
Musi Matlaba, a very important individual when it comes to this final. And I'll tell you why. Pitso Mosimane actually came out and he said in the press conference after the final that we need to give a round of applause to Musi Matlaba, because Kaizer Chiefs did not give out their starting 11 the day before, or they didn't announce to CAF that this is the players that will be starting. And what Musi Matlaba did was very conventional. He just went on social media on the Kaizer Chiefs page, took a look at the pictures that the Kaizer Chiefs had been posting of their training sessions the day before the final, and when it's the day before the final, who's the 11.
Wait, do we have those pictures?
No, we just don't have those pictures. He checked out the pictures and you could see that the players who were wearing the dark green bibs were the ones who were going to start. Just like that. Just like that.
So OB.KNOWS, hold on. He just said something important. So what you're saying is that Kaizer Chiefs got sold by Twitter Fit.
Twitter sold their own Instagram.
Their own Instagram.
Yes,
Instagram sold Kaizer Chiefs.
They sold them out.
So wait, now we are starting to see a trend of events here. It's not just a red card. It's kind of like Instagram then.
What do you mean?
No, Kaizer Chiefs was stop posting. Why are you posting?
I mean, you have an analyst for that reason. Do you
understand that what you're saying, OB.KNOWS, is an analyst whose job is to analyze his opponent. Went to Instagram and he was like, okay.
It's COVID times.
So on Instagram,
Just like that.
You know in American movies, they talk about revealing state secrets. Yeah. This is Johnny English things. But let's talk about the biggest names that showed up on the day. The one that everybody was talking about, we had Mohawu over Skype. He talked about Sharif. We had Karabo Pasha. He talked about Sharif. We had OB.KNOWS, not on Skype, but here in person. So talking about Sharif, OB.KNOWS, the Sheriff showed up that day, and it was devastating.
He showed up, as more especially in the second half. I think in the first half, he was kept a bit quiet because Kaizer Chiefs were very good in the first half. I think they didn't come with the approach that everyone thought they would, which is to sit back. I mean, they pressed AHLY very high a lot of times in the first half, and just unfortunate that in the second half, you know, they had less numbers, of course, on the field, and the midfield was pretty much trying to back off in the situation where Sheriff got the goal, and he got that first goal, and after getting that first goal, he assisted two of the other goals that came in, and proving to us why we've been talking so much about him. I mean, he's been a splendid performer for AHLY. In fact, at the beginning of the season, there was a quarrel between him, between Sheriff and Pitso Mosimane. In fact, not Sheriff rather, but the media, because a lot of people were saying that Pitso should be playing this young man, and Pitso was trying to play the Welter Whalers, who has only got about 2 goals this season, the entire season. So I do think that you know, at this point, it's worth saying that yes, the media did step in and, you know, Pitso gave Sheriff that chance, and proper props should be given to the media for lighting a light on, you know, Sheriff. I mean, we're always saying that, why is the media, you know, dictating who Pitso should be playing? I mean, Pitso brought in a striker who thinks should be working for him or could work for him, and instead, you know, they were opting for Sheriff to play, and Sheriff was given a chance, and he took the chance, and he kept on going from that day.
But let's not forget that Sheriff was on loan when Pitso arrived. I mean, he's the one who brought him back. So now the media might have made a noise, but the fact that Pitso had the presence of mind to say, come back from loan, come play for AHLY, and look at the result that has put together. So let's give some credit to Pitso Mosimane on that regard. But his friend, Afsha.
Man,
Like, I feel like South Africa yesterday was learning Egyptian names. We let them one by one. Real Sheriff, then we went on to Afsha.
Yeah, no.
Talk to me about Afsha.
I think Afsha, we did say that, you know, if Chiefs were to give Afsha the space in between the defensive lines, between the midfield and the defense, that's where he's going to be most, you know, prominent. And that's what we saw. That's where we saw the goal coming in. He was in that central position, ready to get, you know, the pass from Sheriff, and the finish as well. Brilliant finish. I don't know, maybe a lot of people have been saying Daniel Akpe should have done better with those 2 other goals from long range. In fact, the first one, it sneaked past him into the near post. We're feeling, of course, as a goalkeeper, you shouldn't be letting those go in. But, you know, the presence of mind for Sheriff to actually try that, we have to give credit to Sheriff.
When you look at it first, you think he chipped it.
Yeah,
but he
you
didn't.
think it just went on his side, you know. So the presence of mind from Sheriff, but a lot of credit must be given to Sheriff. But Akpe, we feel like he should have done a bit better with some of those goals, especially the first one and that last one.
Okay,
you know, he could have done a bit better.
Let's have a conversation about the goals, but let's talk about the next man here on our list. AHLY.
AHLY, deep in the midfield, coming from, you know, deep in the midfield. He actually came on, Fati actually came on for AHLY Dieng, and had Pitso started with both AHLY Dieng and AHLY, we would have seen a completely different side, because there are 2 players who like to back down, you know,
take the pressure. Pass.
Yeah, take the pressure off the defense, you know, nothing going forward. But in this game, AHLY actually, you know, he got the 3rd goal, and a brilliant goal it is. You know, we saw he's running into the final third, the run into the final third, which led to, you know, the back heel that he received and the goal that he scored. So I think these are players that really were determined to come into this game and cause havoc for Kaizer Chiefs, and mentally they were there, they were ready. We saw it from the get-go, and it ended 3-0.
All right, so we heard from OB.KNOWS. We'll talk about those goals again just shortly. But now let's look at the comments from Baxter, I mean the coach. People are saying, why was he on the touchline in the first place? They were like, you should have left Dylan Shepard and others when he finished what they started. But this is what he had to say right after the game. OB.KNOWS, take us through it.
Well, yeah, Stuart Baxter had a few to say. Of course, you know, of course, the red card also a big part of this as well. He says, if we had gone into halftime with a complete team, then we could have tweaked a few things. But as it was with Happy's red card, you going in and scrambling then to decide what to do. Defended Baxter after the match, of course. And he says, it's a cup final. You can't go in and play 4-4-1 and only defend. So he went with a 4-3-2 and brought in Kama, which was a gamble. Of course, he's saying that he had to bring in Kama Bila to give him a bit of an attacking approach. Of course, we did say that in that last game that he played against, that Kaizer Chiefs played in the semi-final against Wydad Casablanca, they didn't really have attacking options on the bench. And the only option they had at that time was Happy Mashian. And of course, he started the game. And Kama Bilat, of course, coming back from injury was another option that they could have started with. But because he hasn't played in such a long time, hence the coach is saying it was a gamble to play him, he had to bring him on because of the options that he was lacking options from the bench in terms of an attacking display or attacking approach. And so Kama Bilat had to come on and balance things out for them.
All right, let's go hear what Pitso then had to say about this great victory of his. I mean, 2 in 2 seasons. That's just dreamland. It's just dreamland. What did he say?
He was basically talking about the technical team that he had. Of course, the conversation we just just earlier on, talking about how they've been playing such an active role in making sure that the team is prepared in terms of, knowing who is going to play, opponents. The team is ready in terms of match fitness, the intensity of the team is there throughout the 90 minutes of the game. So it was basically Peter Mosimane giving props to his technical team. And also he did say that, if people can't always be talking about how Kaizer Chiefs made it to the final being a fluke, because where the other teams that had better tactics, they're not in the final. Chiefs is in the final, so that was one of the things that Peter Mosimane had to say in the press conference yesterday.
I think Kaizer Chiefs must just go press charges against Pito. I mean, last season or 2 seasons ago, they were winning the league. Pito came on the last day and took it away from them. This time they made it to the Champions League final and Pito came and took it away from them.
Yeah.
So at this point in time, I think maybe Kaizer Chiefs must just go quickly, just to Protea there and just we'll handle this in the courts. But let's take a break. We'll be right back.
You are watching Super TV, Open View, channel 150.
You probably SMS Super TV to 30 and click. You can also score big by simply SMSing Super TV to 30978.
How to register a new SuperBets account. SMS Super TV to 30978 and you will receive an SMS with a sign-up link. Click the link you receive, which will direct you to the SuperBets mobile site. Click Login. On the pop-up, click Register Now. Fill in the required details on the form, from your ID number all the way to your contact details. Be sure to choose a strong password that you will remember. After filling in your details, click Submit. In a few minutes, you should receive an OTP if your details were entered correctly. Back onto the SuperBets mobile site, type in your OTP. In a few seconds, you will receive a welcome SMS confirming your new account. A 50 Rand sign-up bonus will reflect in your account within 24 hours of your sign-up. Welcome to our family. SuperBets, bet with the biggest.
You are watching Super TV, Open View, channel 150.
Welcome back to Mosports. Now, if you're just joining us, the conversation is hot, it's heated, it's about the CAF Champions League final. I mean, at this point in time, I don't know whether to cry, I don't know whether to be happy. All I know is that one medal, possibly 3 or 4 medals, made it to South Africa, but the trophy itself did not make it to South Africa. So the question is, do you cry for Kaizer Chiefs or do you celebrate with Peter Mosimane? Welcome back to the show. My name is Mo and this is OB.KNOWS. And he was giving us his thoughts about what transpired last night in the CAF Champions League final, but the conversation has to continue. Yeah. The reason why the conversation has to continue, OB.KNOWS, is because I want to talk in depth. Yeah. I want to talk in depth about what transpired in that game. Because a lot of people on social media saying it's the red card.
Yeah.
We just spoke about the Instagram also Tengisi Kaizer Chiefs. Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's start it off here, OB.KNOWS. Kaizer Chiefs, did they give a good account of themselves in that final? It's their first final.
Yeah.
Let's not take that away from them. It's their first final. Did they give a good account of themselves?
I think they did. I think the scoreline will tell you something completely different. Because it went off the railings after that red card, and a lot of people would have actually seen it, because Kaizer Chiefs, like I said in the first half, they came with a completely different approach that we didn't expect them to come with, because we thought they would try get a goal and sit back. Indeed they went out and tried to get a goal. They were actually the team. They had the first shot on target, if I'm not mistaken, in last night's game. So
with Nukovic.
With Nukovic. So I do think that Kaizer Chiefs gave a very good account of themselves. Just that red card, it did definitely change the way the dynamics of the game and how it was out of the balance already onto the side of AHLY. So with that red card also going, with Chiefs getting that red card, it just made matters a bit worse for Kaizer Chiefs.
All right, so let's talk about the midfield battle now. That's where the game is either won or lost. How was Kaizer Chiefs in that midfield?
I think in the midfield, Bernard Parker is still not my best option to starting in that midfield. He is the captain of the side. I did expect him to start after seeing him, sitting on the table in the press conferences. I knew that Bernard Parker was definitely going to start. I expected maybe, a different coach might, see something different. But clearly, Bernard Parker, he's the best player that Chiefs have. He's the best player that Chiefs have in that midfield. I did think that, despite the fact that, we are always against Bernard Parker when it comes to him being selected. I think the intensity in that midfield was there. Njabulo Blom gave a good account of himself in there. The youngsters, I think Happy Mashiane as well. Had he been able to stay a bit longer in that game, maybe there would have been a bit of a advancement in the way they played. But I should say that they weren't incredibly bad. They just didn't match AHLY to every bit of their intensity. But nonetheless, Kaizer Chiefs did a very good job yesterday.
I think I was watching the first half thinking to myself that if Kaizer Chiefs don't win this midfield battle, because every time the ball, defenders need a time to breathe. Defenders are like anyone. They need time to breathe. They need time to be able to reorganize. And every time Matoho or Cardoso would get a ball, Frosla would get a ball, and they would hoof it into the midfield, and maybe it lands on Bernard Parker's feet. There's always a chance for them to make the wrong pass, and that's exactly what happened every time.
A couple of times,
I saw Nurkovic on the flank getting a ball, making a run. He tries to pass Parker, who's making a terrible run. The ball is all the way on the other touchline. You try to run on the opposite touchline. You know that your striker doesn't have that passing range. He attempts the pass. AHLY intercepted. Another pass goes into the midfield to Bernard Parker. He turns around. Instead of trying to keep up the play, if you can't make a pass, keep the ball long enough for everybody to reorganize, get back into position and calm the game down. But every time the Chiefs got the ball, I never felt sure that in the midfield they could retain the ball. I never felt secure that no, they can retain the ball in the midfield. And that's one of the things that actually played in there against them, because even we'll get to it. Let me not get too ahead of myself. Let's talk about the defense.
I think the defense, in the first half, of course, it looked like they had a back four a couple of times. Katsande draws back when the team is under pressure. Of course, he draws back and falls into a back five, which for me was the best option that Kaizer Chiefs had if they wanted to, make sure that they close down what's going on in the flanks. We saw how they were so exploited when Ramatlwe Mphahlele was in the right side of the defense. In the first half, more especially, AHLY got in quite a lot of crosses from that left-hand side of attack. So I do think that in defense they could have done a bit better here and there. In the second half, the goal that was conceded, in fact, was the last goal, the third goal. I saw a bit of indecisiveness from Daniel Akpe and Matoho.
The second goal.
It was the second goal.
I memorized those goals.
It looked pretty bad. It looked pretty bad because it looked like Akpe was coming out for the ball. It looked like Matoho was, depending on Akpe to come out for the ball. But the decision was made by Akpe to go backwards. He would decide that he's going backwards, and that made Matoho, relax, and then he tried to catch up again, which made him lose a bit of ground compared to the player who was chasing for the ball. So I do think that had the communication been slightly better between the defense and the goalkeeper, maybe that goal would have been avoided. But at least we can say that Kaizer Chiefs at least have gone into the market this time around and made some important signings that could just change that up for the next season.
So let's talk about the goals right now before we talk about Kaizer Chiefs in this upcoming season. Now, my first issue was the first goal, OB knows. When you look at, we don't have the video replay, but when you look at how that first goal was made, your right back is cutting inside, he's cutting infield. Sharif is running in behind Cardoso. You're a goalkeeper, you know these things. The moment you see that run happening, you as a goalkeeper are shouting at me, Mo, somebody's behind you. I'm obviously going to know that there's a run behind me, and that man is possibly going to put it in here and get that pass. But not only that, Matoho, who's behind Cardoso,
too much space.
He can see this run. You know what I mean? That for me says that he was ball watching, he was not looking at the danger man, and Sharif was able to make a run that runs diagonally between the two centre backs. When he takes the turn, he's already in position, he's already onside, he can put the goal behind the net. The goalkeeper could have done a lot better, but it's a lot to put that on the goalkeeper, because from the two centre backs, the goalkeeper himself, where was the shouting? Where was the intensity to say, watch out for the man behind you? Where was it?
I think more importantly, I would put the blame a lot more on Mato, because the man was right in front of him.
In front of him.
The space in between the defense, the two defense between himself and Cardoso was just too much space for Sharif, because we did say that if you give these players too much space, then there's going to be a problem. But that's not where the problem started for me. The problem started from the midfield when Katsande decided to drop back and instead of going towards the player who has the ball, because that was too much time for him to pick out the ball and find Sharif. So I do think that it's not only the defense, also the midfield had a lot to
He's not the only one, because Bernard Parker, on that same side where the player was making the run, he sees Afshad and he says, I'm going to go close down Afshad. But he's not even closing him down. He just runs so he can see him on his peripheral. By the time the pass goes through, if you look at the movement from Parker, where was he going? He didn't block off any passes. He didn't mark any man. He was standing in open space. He could have been the man to bring that intensity to the man on the ball, but he didn't. He was literally allowed to run into the midfield and make that pass. Now let's move on to the second goal, where it gets a little bit more intense. Now with the second goal, Robbie knows, like you were saying, the ball comes through overhead. Centre back turns around, he looks at his goalkeeper, my goalkeeper's running for it, I can relax, right? The moment your goalkeeper starts traveling back, right? The issue with that goal is not that incident. The issue with that goal was these guys didn't know what to do. AHLY didn't know what to do once they got there, because when they got there, it was a 2v3. So they decided to pass the ball into the middle, to Afshad. Afshad decides to give it to Sharif. When Sharif gets that ball, Sharif also didn't know what to do with the ball. He wanted to cut back inside to take a shot. But the cut back inside, the touch was too heavy. You know what I mean? So if you look at that, it was a heavy touch. And what happened? Afshad was able to put that in the back of the net. So even those players, they were making mistakes in the mistakes that Kaizer Chiefs was making. But they still managed to put that in the back of the net. Which says to me that sometimes Kaizer Chiefs, I mean, you look at the first thing. Where was Rama in that situation? Because
he came in late as well. He came in late, very late in that situation. I mean, I do think that Kaizer Chiefs, you know, with those, the two goals, the last two goals especially, I think defensively they weren't, you know, so aware anymore. Because I do say that, you know, with that red card of Mashian, it really did take a lot from Kaizer Chiefs. And, you know, for them to cover ground against a team that is so intense in terms of the way, the approach that they come with, it was going to be a lot to ask for from the defense as well.
So let's move on to the last goal. I know OB.KNOWS is through these goals, he's tired of them, but that last one, OB.KNOWS, I just wanted to shed light on one issue and one. We talked about Mato, we talked about Rama. Let's talk about the last goal, OB.KNOWS. Now we're talking about Cardoso, we're talking about, it was Cardoso, it was Frosler, who were in line with the two players from AHLY who were making the run into the Kaizer Chiefs half. Now if you look at that highlight reel, Matoho and Rama were the players who were marking on the flank in the midfield. Like, these guys were so deep in the midfield, I thought that was Parker and Katande. When I looked at the replay, I was like, wait, that's Matoho and that's Rama. And they were marking so high up the pitch, OB.KNOWS. And the mistake that was their mistake. What are they doing there? One is a centre back, one is a left back. What are you guys doing there? Second mistake is now Cardoso and Frosler. Because Cardoso and Frosler are so worried about these two guys that are making a run, they're keeping these guys on side.
I think it played all into AHLY's favor. You know, I think it played into AHLY's favor. By the time Kaizer Chiefs were a goal down already, they were already trying to focus on, you know, getting back into the game. Hence the substitute of Kamabilat as well, which takes a lot out of that midfield as well. That is trying to, you know, in fact, from the defense rather, which is trying to contain an AHLY defense and probably, you know, catch them on the break. But what I can say is that, you know, with the addition of Kamabilat in that team, we have a lot less in terms of defense, you know, and when we're pushing forward, there's a lot less numbers, you know, at the back. So I do think that it played into AHLY's favor, taking the lead against a team that is, you know, one man down. It was obviously going to, you know, be an uphill battle for Kaizer Chiefs, but I do think that they gave it their all in terms of the way they played. They gave us a brand of football which we weren't really expecting. I mean, for me, I think Kaizer Chiefs looked a lot confident on the ball from the first half. They looked a lot more confident than I've seen them over the past few games, and that's one thing that's positive I can take from, you know, seeing the influence that Stuart Baxter has put into these players. I would say that Kaizer Chiefs look just a bit more confident than they've been in the past few games.
All right, so let's find out if Kaizer Chiefs will be looking like a better outfit next season. I mean, they have Nteki heading their development. They have Kaizer Mdaung Jr., who's now the sporting director. They have Baxter at the helm. He's being assisted by Arthur Zwani, Dylan Shepard. I mean, they have a whole host of great signings, OB.KNOWS. So I want to know from you, I mean, you said they've given a good account of themselves. So next season, are we expecting Kaizer Chiefs that will come back and dominate, at least be in the top half of the table?
Top of the table for me has to be a definite with the Kaizer Chiefs in general. You know, they are one of the South African giants in football. You know, so I do expect them to be in the top half of the table. With the signings that they've made, with the way they played yesterday, I think they showed a lot of heart, like I am saying. And I do think that with the quality that they've brought in at this point, we're looking at the players that they've brought in right now, not, you know, trying to focus on the links that they have, but with what they have right now, I do think they're a bit more fierce than they were. You know, they've been refreshed, because in the past 2 seasons they've been playing with the same players. You know, maybe with an addition of Njabulo Blom in the squad, Mashiane coming in from the development as well. I do think that with the signings that they have made, they look like a much better team, and with the Ntsekis coming in as well to help the youth development, to be able to bring in more players from the MDC, I do think Kaizer Chiefs are looking like a very solid team at this point.
All right, so let's talk about Cape Town City. OB.KNOWS, you did say they have a blistering attack, but in defense, they've had to do a lot of fixing.
They have, you know, not to say that they had a bad defense last season. You know, they had a bad defense in terms of paper, but the players that they had in there, I believe they should have done, you know, slightly a bit better in terms of shutting things out. They had a very good goalkeeper in Peter Liebenberg, who now has gone to the Eredivisie. They brought in 2 goalkeepers, Darren Keat being the first, the other one being Bongani Mpandle, who's coming in from Maritzburg United. So in terms of the goalkeeping department, I don't think they're shorting in any way, but I think what they'll be looking forward to this coming season is the signing of Indumba, who comes in from the DRC. He brings in a bit of solidity in that defense, you know, and that's him right there on the graphic. And I do think that one thing they'll be really hoping is for Ed Nielsen to come back from injury, because, you know, Terence Mashiko has done a brilliant job on that in that left back position, but he does need a bit more, you know, competition, because last season, you know, Ianos Potoridis, the Greek defender who has departed and went back to his home country, he was pretty much a centre back, but he was also shifted into that left back position now and then. So I do think that with Nielsen coming back from injury, he adds in a bit more, you know, he adds in a bit more numbers into that left back position and quality on top of that. And I do think that one thing that the coach Rekering did a lot and that I didn't really appreciate was the chopping and changing of the centre backs. You know, it was very hard for Tashreeq Phillies, who in my regard was the best centre back that they had at Cape Town City last season. I think with the combination of him and Abubakar Mubara, they should have tried to find some common ground in between those two players, because the experience Mubara has, you know, he's played in the PSL for quite some time for Ajax Cape Town and later for Orlando Pirates, has played in the national team. I think that's a player that has to be a mainstay somehow in your team. Try find some common ground between those two defenders, and hopefully this season it will happen, you know, with Ndumba coming in as well. Hopefully, you know, as Eric Tinkler will be able to sort out that defense.
And now we know that AmaZulu will still be in the PSL next season. Not only that, they're in Africa, my fit. So what's happening there at AmaZulu? What is there, a happy camp?
Haven't really heard much coming out of AmaZulu in terms of, you know, signings, but we can assure that you know, these guys are on a mission. They are on a mission that's not only, you know, a one-season mission. You know, Sandile Zungu came out after the signing of Benny McCarthy as the head coach. He did say that, you know, by the time that AmaZulu reaches its centenary, they want to be, you know, competing for the title. And not only did they do it last season, they did it very well. Now they're going to be playing in the CAF Champions League come next season. You know, so I do think that they are a team that still are going to be trying to make a few signings. I do think that they've lost the left back in Mabilis, who joins Kaizer Chiefs, so they might be looking, you know, to add more people. I did see that they brought back Tsepo Masilela, who was said to be released by the club, but he's back in the club and he's joined them for pre-season at left back position. So we have to wait and see what happens, especially in the midfield as well. Makaula, once he got that injury, you know, there was not anyone who could have replaced him, who could fit into that position very well. So I think they need to find someone who'll be able to, you know, chop and change in with Makaula. But nonetheless, they still have a quality squad. I do think that they're looking very good up front. They brought in Mwape Musonda to assist them going forward. So I'm looking at a very fierce AmaZulu side, and going into the CAF competition, hopefully they'll be able to make us proud as well.
All right, so let's go on and take a break. When we come back, the conversation will continue as we look at the COSAFA Cup, the preseason in Europe, and some of the other news that are coming out of world football.
You are watching Super TV, Open View, channel 150. Are watching Super TV, Open View, channel 150.
Welcome back to Mosports. Now, things are intense when it comes to Kaizer Chiefs versus AHLY, but all we know is that AHLY are now crowned the champions of Africa, and that is something that we should celebrate because one of our own is at the helm of that team. And what can we say? Some medals. Funny enough, one thing I forgot to mention, they kind of ran out of medals there at the end there.
There's too many players.
Like,
too many people.
I was like, who in the coaching staff got a medal here? Didn't have to get a medal. Because now the captain himself doesn't have a medal. Like, where's your medal? The captain would ask him, where's your medal? Yeah, just showed up. Yeah, there's no medal. Just give me the trophy, I'll be fine. So if you watch the pictures and you see the captain himself without a medal, you must just know that they're still going to print it. He's going to have his name at the back. Ask his face. We're so costly when Maru made a play.
But let's get it. It's going to get it.
So let's talk about the COSAFA Cup. Maybe South Africa will have something to rejoice about. After Peter won the CAF Champions League, meaning the Kaizer Chiefs had lost it, maybe South Africa, Bafana might make us proud. Let's go to the website. Let's go see how D-Day is looking in terms of the COSAFA Cup. Let's see who they play. So OB.KNOWS, just to make sure that we are on the right page, let's go to account. Start corner if it's one with bet list. It's a different account. Let's go back to home. It's new in Buffett. Let's go down. Let's go find statistics. Let's say soccer. International. Let's go down to COSAFA Cup. There it is. So as you can see, today is D-Day. Senegal face South Africa while Eswatini face Mozambique. We've already done a head-to-head for this fixture. So OB.KNOWS, have we made a best slip for this game?
No, we couldn't because it was not there.
Okay, let's go check if it's there. Maybe we can make a best slip for it. Let's go to the main page. Let's scroll down to soccer. 100, maybe it's there. 1,102. International. COSAFA Cup. Tango. South Africa, Senegal, we know who we're going with. We already know, just put it there. It's the first time ever that any football pundit has ever said, we know who we're going with. It's in Mzansi.
Oh, well, I hope they bring it. Hope they come with it.
I put it. Why would they not come with it, OB.KNOWS?
Well, you never know, man.
Senegal might just come from the dead.
I don't think Senegal will come from the dead. I don't think they've got the same amount of quality as Bafana have. And Bafana have shown what they possess, throughout the tournament. I mean, we could be saying that some of these players, we don't even know them, but the way they've played together as a team, I do think that they are forced to be reckoned with compared to how Senegal have played. I did say that at the back, they've got fragilities, in terms of the goalkeeping and the defense. So it's something that we've seen Bafana capitalize on in the games against Lesotho. They did very well by capitalizing on mistakes. So I do see Bafana as the outright favorites to actually win this tournament. And if they don't, it would be a big disappointment for me.
All right, let's move on to the transfer news. Let's hear who's going where. So Nuno Espirito Santo is now the head coach at Tottenham Hotspur, if I'm not mistaken. And he said that Gareth Bale, but we're keeping Kane. One more season of trophylessness coming up for Harry Kane. So I don't know. Should Harry Kane leave?
Should he leave?
Chelsea are trying to replace Giroud.
Yeah, but not with Harry Kane. But this is what Nuno has to say. That's Dele Alli. That's Dele Alli right there. This is what Nuno has to say. He says, Harry is our player, period. There's no need to talk about anything else. Now is the time for him to rest. When he returns, we can have a good conversation. I look forward to him joining the group. So clearly, he's going off what Daniel Levy has told him, which is that Harry Kane is staying. So clearly, he hasn't had a chat with Harry Kane as yet, So we have to wait and see, how the chat goes. Because if I remember very well, just after the season ended and before, the Euro started, there was an interview that Harry Kane did with Gary Neville while they were playing golf. And he did make mention that he wants to leave the team. I mean, that for me was going behind the team and, publicizing that you want to leave the team. It doesn't sit well with me. And I can't remember who had an argument with. They were saying, but he has every right to do that because he has served his time at Tottenham Hotspurs, But I'm saying he's still contracted to the team. It doesn't matter how long you've been there. The contract is there. You're still part of this team. You don't go around to the media and telling people that you want to leave the team. That doesn't set off well with the club. And I do think that there might be a standoff between Daniel Levy and Harry Kane. And Harry Kane is going to end up staying at the club whether he likes it or not.
Let's go on to the next piece of news. Man United ready to get Varane. Get Varane a contract for until 2026.
Yeah, that's the word. And a lot of Man United fans not so excited after that Jadon Sancho signing, right? They were saying that, but it's one big signing and then we're not going to bring anyone else, And that's what's been making a lot of Man United fans upset. But It's been said that this man wants to join Man United, and he's saying that he's ready to agree personal terms if Real Madrid if Real Madrid and Man United have an agreement, to let him go to join Man United, which is contrary to what I just said about Harry Kane. If you want to join a club, you don't need to make it so out there. Yes, Varane admits that he would want to go to Man United, but I'll only talk to Man United if these guys agree with that. And that for me is how a professional handles his business. And Varane, we could say, he's served his time at Real Madrid as well. He's won about 4 Champions Leagues with them as well. So I do think that he has handled it very well. He has not went out to the press and said that he wants to leave the club because of this and that. He's being professional about it. And Man United are ready to sign him if he has an agreement, if they have an agreement with Real Madrid.
So Olivier Giroud was unveiled by AC Milan. So how did that go?
The unveiling did take place yesterday. Giroud, he's been signed. Karabo Pasha actually was on the show a couple of days ago, and he did make mention that he's been signed with a 1 million euro transfer, and with obviously should AC Milan be successful in some way, they will also pay an additional 1 million, to Chelsea for the signing of Olivier Giroud. So Giroud has made way that side. We do remember that Mario Mandzukic also signed for the club. Towards the end of last season, we thought he would, add something in there, but he didn't even play a single minute for AC Milan. So I do think that the signing of Olivier Giroud does give them a lot more experience up front. We've seen Zlatan Ibrahimovic extending his contract there as well. So they obviously have some good options coming from the bench, and I do think Olivier Giroud would be a proper option for AC Milan.
So Arsenal have a lot of people leaving the club, but they finally got a couple of signings in. I see Ben White is going there.
Ben White possibly could be. The deal has been agreed between the two teams. Paperwork apparently has started to bring in Ben White, who's on the right-hand side. And you've got Lokonga as well on the left. You can see he was at the Euros with Belgium. We didn't really see a lot of him. Because he's still a very young player. But from what we've heard from the people who have watched him playing at Anderlecht is that he's a very good player when it comes to breaking down attacks. Pretty much a player that they need. They've been saying that they want Yves Bissouma to come in. So I do think that with the signing of Lokonga coming in, they might just let go of Yves Bissouma, who's been linked apparently with Liverpool. I don't know why. Liverpool are trying to bring in another central defensive midfielder. But I can say that Arsenal are looking to bring in those two players right now.
All right, and Saul and Griezmann, that would be a swap deal of epic proportion. In fact, wouldn't Griezmann be going back home?
He would be going back home, and both players apparently are open, for such a move to take place. But I don't think at this point the two teams have reached terms because Barcelona is saying that should Griezmann go, they want to let Griezmann go. They'll bring Saul. And they want an additional amount of money, which is undisclosed at this point. So I do think that if this deal was to go through, Barcelona getting the better of the deal. So for them to also want more money from getting Saul and letting Griezmann go the other way, I do think they're being a bit selfish. They're trying to recover that money that they lost from the 140 million deal they made with Atletico Madrid to let Griezmann come to them. So I do think they're being a bit selfish, but it would be a great move for Saul because he looks very keen to be joining the Blaugrana.
All right, so let's talk about the club friendlies that have been taking place all over the world, but the European ones specifically. So some of these teams actually big names. So let's see who was in action and what results they picked up. So talk us through who played and what was the results.
Well, PSG played Chambly and that ended 2-2, and Rangers played Arsenal as well. It ended in a 2-2 draw as well. Leyton Orient played against Tottenham Hotspurs. It ended in a 1-1 draw. Cologne played Bayern Munich, and a surprise win there for Cologne in that game there. We do remember that Cologne are a team that were faced with relegation last season. Now they're beating Bayern Munich, the team that won the league title. AC Milan beating Pro Sesto 6-0, and you can see Lugano, they're drawing 2-2 with Inter Milan in yesterday's encounters in pre-season. So I did say yesterday on Super Tracker that some of these small teams that some of the big teams rather, they play against these small teams, and you're thinking when you're creating your bet that PSG are definitely going to win it, because of their PSG. But the coaches are really trying to bring in some of the youngsters and trying to see what they have in this pool of players. It's pre-season, they're trying to make things work, and you will not get, the result that you're hoping for, such as the 2-2 draw they had against Chamberlain.
But let's see the friendlies that are coming up. We're talking about Manchester United playing against Derby County, and Roma also going to be in action. So let's see these friendlies that are coming up so we can know where to place our money. So we know that's the pre-season fixtures that are coming up.
Yeah, that's today's fixtures that will be taking place. Big one with Derby and Man United because Wayne Rooney will be returning home. Rather, he'll be facing his former side, and he'll be the coach, of course, for Derby County this time around. So it's a big one there. And, of course, Jose Mourinho also kicking off his pre-season as well with Roma. Hopefully, he'll be starting off on a bright note because I'm a Jose Mourinho fan. I really want him to succeed at Roma and just shut people up.
All right, so let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll look at some of the conversations that we have not yet covered in the show. We're talking mainly about my moment of the week and OB.KNOWS' moment of the week.
You are watching Super TV, Open View, channel 150.
Even Ishumi can change your life. Now ungapopa with Super Bets. Simply SMS Super TV to 30978 and start playing.
You are watching Super TV, Open View, channel 150.
Welcome back to Mosports. Now, if you're just joining us, we talked about the CAF Champions League final. We talked about some of the friendlies that played out in Europe. And now we're talking about the moment of the week. And OB.KNOWS, please define to us, what is the moment of the week? Is it specifically in soccer? Could it be my breakfast from the other day?
No, it has to be in soccer.
It has to be in soccer?
It has to be something that happened in the world of football in this past week.
No, that's a lot. It's a lot to think about. I think the build-up to the CAF Champions League final, how everyone was like, we know the reality, but we're still going to go against that reality. You know what I'm saying? I love the fact that everybody came out. I mean, people that are not even openly Kaizer Chiefs fans, posting on social media what their Kaizer Chiefs are great. I feel like that was more, for me, like, wow,
moment.
Where have all of you been? You know what I mean? When Kaizer Chiefs were seeing flames and Junior Kanya was having them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, no one was there. But now all of a sudden, they're in the final, everybody's like, oh,
the nation tried to, throw themselves the weight behind, Kaizer Chiefs. And the Kaizer Chiefs fans were saying, us, we're not a national team, so don't support us, But a lot of people really did, show their colors and support for Kaizer Chiefs.
So do you think that maybe it's a curse, really? Once South Africans or...
Definitely.
Yeah, so is it?
I think, what did I see? Someone who hoped that Kaizer Chiefs would win, yesterday, and already people were like, so Liwa. You know what I'm saying? I just don't remember. I will, when I remember, I'll say it.
One person, people like Liwa.
Yeah, one person was like, Kaizer Chiefs, go wish you well, come back with that.
Because every time, when South Africa has beat, the South Africans behind them, it doesn't go well. Because Super Cup, no one's behind them. Look at them. They're in the final. They're looking like the favorites. We look at Kaizer Chiefs. They're in the final. Everybody, on the date, You know, today is Mandela Day. Let's not shake that.
Yeah.
But yesterday was Kaizer Chiefs Day because everybody was wearing Kaizer Chiefs again. It was just a lot.
Yeah, it was.
So your moment of the week?
My moment of the week, it has to be looking at PSG's starting lineup for next season.
Oh no. The goalkeepers.
They've got 9 goalkeepers. They've got 9 goalkeepers in there, including Keylor Navas, including Areola as well in there. Bulka, who was on loan last season. Sergio Rico as well, who was at Fulham. Donnarumma as well. There's a lot of 9 in total, and the other ones we don't really know because they're still coming out of the development side.
Innocent is in there.
Who's that?
Innocent is one of the young goalkeepers. Is a dark guy.
Okay, yeah, you know what I'm saying. They've got 9, so I do think that looking at the squad that they have, the starting 11. The pairing of Kimpembe and Ramos in there. The right back being Hakimi, Kosawa on the left. In the midfield, you've got Paredes, you've got Gini, you've got Verratti. Up front, you've got Neymar, Di Maria, and Mbappe. That was my highlight.
Mbappe's still a question mark, though.
Nah, Mbappe's staying there. He's staying there. He's staying there. Whether he likes it or not, he'll be staying there. He might leave on a free, rather. That's what it looks like to me. Or that's what it looks like.
Looks like Liverpool is not trying to wait for next season.
Liverpool even waiting at this point. That team, Liverpool.
I think Liverpool's going to surprise everyone when it comes to that chat. And I think Haaland is also going to surprise everyone when it comes to his chat.
What do you think is going to happen there?
Huh? I want to say much, but all I heard is that Chelsea is... Okay, so first let's just put this out there. Petson Doku signed with Leicester City. First of all, that's shocking. Now let's move on to the fact that Chelsea are saying Lewandowski was Haaland. You know what I mean? For 50 million. And at that time, Chelsea were going for Haaland. So for Chelsea to switch lanes and say, okay, you go, you stay there, we want this man. Why are they creating a vacancy at Bayern Munich? And when you look at Bayern Munich at this point in time, they might just go to Haaland and say, Buffett, Dortmund, you know the procedure. Götze, Lewandowski, you know the Ozala. So
I don't know,
it might be a surprise, but all I'm saying is let's keep our eyes open, let's keep our ears peeled because it might be the situation. But OB.KNOWS, talk to me.
Well, look, I don't know. I think with Haaland, it's gonna be a man. Like Dortmund really need to let him go because if they don't let him go now for about 140 or 150 million, which is however much Chelsea are trying to splash out on him, then they risk losing him for about 70 million, which is pretty much half of what they could have got. And I do think that next season, if they don't let him go right now, they're getting 70 million. A lot of clubs are going to be coming out for him. So for Chelsea, if they can show the money now, maybe Dortmund might change their minds. Maybe they just might. But at this point, I do think that Erling Haaland is a possible move for Chelsea before the transfer window ends. We'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Because if you ask me, I mean, Chelsea has been involved in deals like that. Like, we'll take Giroud, we'll give you Batshuayi, or we'll give Batshuayi to Bayern.
And Batshuayi had a great season at Dortmund. So I do think that he might just be looking at a return if possible.
No, but you remember how it went down. They said, okay, we'll sell Batshuayi to Dortmund. Dortmund will sell Aubameyang to Chelsea. We will get Giroud. So that's what I'm saying. It might be another situation of we will buy Lewandowski for 50. You will take that 50, you buy, an Erling Haaland, and then Erling Haaland will send you Batshuayi. But it might also be a process like that. But let's talk about, OB.KNOWS, you're saying we have a special guest tomorrow. Yeah,
we have a special guest tomorrow, Sports and Spinal. They deal with a lot of injuries that happen to sports stars. Of course, they reached out. And I was looking for someone that we could talk to. It's pre-season. We're coming into the tough time of this is the tough time of the season. Getting players back into proper shape. So it's a very tough time. It's very hard on the players as well. So I thought it would be very insightful. We have a chat with some of these people who deal with injuries to make us a little bit more aware of what to look out for as players, and also what do these injuries mean to some of these players? Because we look at Kamabila, who's also just made a return after a long-term injury. We want to get a bit more information on why do these injuries take so long? Why does it differ? Maybe we could have the same injury, but you will heal a lot quicker than I do. So we're going to break down all of those things once we have a chat tomorrow.
All right, so make sure you tune into Mosports tomorrow because not only are we going to be talking about football, but we're going to be educational. So bring your notebooks, your exam pads. We're going to be teaching you a lot about ribs, bones, and spines. Thank you for joining us today on Mosports. We'll see you again tomorrow from 1 to 2 p.m. here on Super TV, powered by Super Bets.
You are watching Super TV, Open View, channel 150. Coming together was just the beginning. And as Mzansi's first, Super TV has continuously been your place of infotainment, inspiration, live gameplay fun, and of course, the most authentic moments to light up your TV screens. Coming together is the beginning. Creating together is the process. Keeping you entertained is our success.